All right, let's dive right in and break down your 2026-2027 Term 1 biology project on photosynthesis and respiration so it's super easy to tackle. If you're a Class 7 student at KE Carmel School, Bankura, or maybe a parent helping out, you already know this project is a massive chunk of your Term 1 syllabus. So today's explainer is designed to transform that incredibly intimidating project PDF into a clear, totally actionable game plan. We're going to look exactly at what your teachers are asking for, both in how the physical project should be built and the core science you absolutely need to understand.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be covering 1. Mastering your biology project. 2. The photosynthesis factory. 3. Plant respiration explained. 4. Comparing the two processes. And 5. Wrapping it up.
First up, Section 1, Mastering Your Biology Project.
So mark your calendars, because the crucial point here is getting everything ready for your first evaluation in early June, specifically between the 8th and the 10th. That is your initial check-in. Following that, your final evaluation and sign-off happens in early July, between the 1st and the 3rd. And hey, take special note of what's required on that submission sheet. You need signatures from your parent or guardian, from you as the student, and finally from your teacher. You literally need all three of those for both the June and July evaluations, so don't leave that to the last minute.
Now, this perfectly illustrates exactly how your project packet needs to be organized, giving you a literal step-by-step checklist. Your syllabus is incredibly strict about this order, so let's get it right. Page 1 must be the printed PDF synopsis. Page 2 is your acknowledgement, where you express gratitude to the principal, your subject teacher, your parents, and the school. Page 3 is your introduction, briefly explaining the topic in simple language. Page 4 lists the learning objectives exactly as they appear in your prompt. Then from page 5 onwards, you get into the real meat of the project, the contents. And finally, you'll cap the whole thing off with your conclusion and bibliography.
Moving right along to Section 2, the photosynthesis factory.
For this part, you'll need to deeply understand and explain this incredible food-making process. Learning Objective A is entirely focused on ensuring that you grasp exactly how plants manage to feed themselves. Think of a plant as the ultimate, perfectly efficient, solar-powered kitchen. And to prove you really understand it, your syllabus specifically requires a drawing. But listen, you can't just draw a pretty little flower and call it a day. You must clearly label these 6 exact ingredients and products. Seriously, keep this checklist handy when you start sketching. Your diagram has to point out the input of sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. It must show the presence of chlorophyll. And crucially, it has to show the outputs, oxygen being released and glucose formation. If any one of these 6 is missing from your drawing, you aren't fulfilling the rubric.
Also, don't forget, right after your drawing masterpiece, you must write out the word equation and break down what each individual part actually does. It's not enough to just list the words out. The guidelines explicitly state you need to explain each component briefly, like what is the sunlight actually doing? Why is chlorophyll necessary? This shows your teacher you aren't just memorizing scientific terms, but that you truly understand the biological recipe.
Next up, Section 3, Plant Respiration Explained.
You'll need to explain this secondary vital process super clearly, proving that plants don't just create fuel, they also have to burn it. Honestly, this is a massive learning milestone for Class 7 biology. A lot of folks think only animals breathe and respire, right? But plants absolutely need to release the energy from that glucose they just made in order to survive and grow.
Just like you did for the food-making factory, you're going to need to create a dedicated, neat, and clearly labeled diagram specifically for plant respiration. This is your chance to visually explain how oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is released to break down that food for energy. And remember, the syllabus specifically uses the word neat, so definitely take your time with your rulers and colored pencils here.
All right, we are into the heavy-hitting stuff now. Section 4, Comparing the two processes.
This is where you need to explicitly write out the differences between these 2 main plant processes. It's a huge part of the content section. Think about it. They are essentially 2 halves of the exact same engine. One builds food, the other breaks it down. One releases oxygen, the other uses it. Highlighting this perfectly balanced relationship is exactly what the prompt is asking you to do.
And right after that, you've got to compare aerobic respiration, which involves oxygen, against anaerobic respiration, which doesn't. It's kind of like a human running a full-out sprint and running out of breath versus going for a long, steady jog. Your project needs a really clear, written section differentiating these 2 specific types of respiration within the plant world.
The project also forces you to zoom in on a few specific parts. Laying them out like this ensures you hit every single point on the rubric.
You need a section explaining the importance of chlorophyll, a section breaking down the role of the stomata, those tiny little pores on the leaves, and a section explaining the overall importance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in plants. To cap off your core content section, you must bring all these comparisons together into one highly visual, colorful flowchart. This is actually your final requirement for the main body of the project. A flowchart is just a fantastic way to show the cycle, how the oxygen released by photosynthesis is used in respiration, and how the carbon dioxide released by respiration is then taken right back up for photosynthesis. Make it vibrant and make it super clear.
Almost at the finish line. Section 5, wrapping it up.
On your very last page, you absolutely must cite your sources, and the syllabus officially suggests acknowledging these 4 specific tools. You need to write down the exact name of your textbook. You should mention your class notes and your teacher's guidance. And if you looked anything up online to help with your diagrams or definitions, you need to list those educational websites too. It's just essential scientific practice to show exactly where you got your information. Finally, your conclusion page needs to answer this exact prompt. The syllabus doesn't just want dry facts here. It wants your personal reflection. So take a moment to look back on everything you've just mapped out. From the strict timeline starting in May to those intricate diagrams of glucose formation and energy release. As you prepare to put pen to paper, ask yourself, if plants are entirely self-sufficient factories that both create their own fuel and burn it to stay alive, what does that tell us about the delicate, perfectly balanced cycle of life happening inside every single leaf we walk past every single day?